Hello, everybody, and welcome to Jacob Ray Razors. Today is not about razors. Today is part 2 of the sushi knife. Basically, last where we left off, I had done everything before the heat treat, putting it in the oven. Sad thing is when I quenched this, I thought the camera was on, but it was off, so I ended up realizing afterward and being like, oh, well, here you have the blade. It's quenched. And I used a heat blocker on the back of on the spine, the correct terminology, so that it remains a little bit flexible. It's not like super flexible. I didn't see the need. So anyways, there it is. And at that point, just like a razor, I'm going to come through and thin this thing out. I want it to be as thin as possible. That way I can slice through fish let's be honest, I'm going to use this thing for all kinds of cooking. I don't see myself using it primarily for fish. Although it is a sushi knife, I want it to be thin enough to go through onions, potatoes, all kinds of just normal things. And and just kind of thinning it out like that really helps. A lot of the process on this particular knife was thinning and sanding, which, oh my gosh, I've spent 2 days hand sanding it. Editing doesn't take this time. It took this long from part 1 to part 2 because so much hand sanding. I really wanted it to have this mirror polish, so I went ahead and I used a buffing wheel, which I don't really have like a proper one, so I just used the one. I use it on the drill press at max speed. It works just fine. It's exceptionally dangerous, and anytime you're going to use a buffing wheel, geez, I cannot stress how dangerous they are. Hands down, they're the most dangerous tool in the shop. So just know your way around them. Don't work with sharp objects. Just be careful, guys. I'm going to go ahead and just warn you. I went through, I used 2 different buffing compounds. I use a red buffing compound and a white. The red is a little kind of coarser and goes through. It just does the work quicker. And obviously there's my white. So yeah, and all the while I keep my blade cool. You can overheat your blades, especially thin ones like this. You can overheat them and ruin your hardness. So you got to kind of be careful there. Switching to I have 2 different, like this one's like really, that's more of a workhorse of a wheel. The other one is the softer wheel. So yeah, just kind of testing things out, seeing what works, what doesn't work. In the end, I end up realizing that I'm just gonna have to hand sand it, and there's nothing I can do. So yeah, there's a lot of hand sanding, which I go through all that effort, and I realize, this still isn't the way I want it. So there's a lot of back and forth. I never, if I'm not satisfied with it, I go back to the grinder. Same with razors. Like, there's never a point where it's done. Like, I'm 100% confident that the knife now is functional. I've used it, I like it, I enjoy it. But if I see something wrong with it, I'm gonna take it. All right, as for the handle, I talked about it in part 1. I went with a acrylic polyacrylester to be perfectly accurate. That way no moisture could get into the tang. Another really important thing for me on this blade is that it can be fully disassembled. It's essentially 3 parts. Well, not essentially, it's a 3-part. So there's the blade, there's the handle, and then there's the pin that holds them together. Other than that, that's all there is, and I'll show in the end why that's so important. This is a knife that will last like hundreds of years, multiple generations, if it's well kept, oiled, and just taken care of. So here's me disassembling it, putting it back together, bam, back to sanding, because I only sanded the one side. So yeah, this was, I actually didn't even record all of the sanding because it took so long. So cool little stop motion that I did of it coming apart. And I want to just say, I'm not really a chef. By not really, I mean I'm 100% not a chef. So I just wanted to give you guys an example of it kind of doing its job, going through the onions, cutting some tomatoes. I had some salmon in the fridge, and I really don't know how to do this, so I think it did a really good job. Going through the salmon, it was like nothing. Like literally, I can't say it any differently. It cut through salmon like butter. So here it is. After it's been washed, everything's dry. No rust will ever touch this bad boy unless the user allows it. And that is it for the sushi knife. I'm really happy with it. It's definitely gonna be part of my collection in my kitchen. I'll be using it frequently. The shape is fantastic. I enjoy it. It's gonna be with me for a while. If you enjoyed the video, please let me know with a like, leave a comment if you have any questions, and of course subscribe and share. That's very helpful and helps me keep doing more of these videos. Thanks everybody. Bye.